You're the CMO of Fiverr for 6 years, and we're at a moment in time, it seems, where the role of the chief marketing officer is changing.
Brands will need to go back to basics. I really think, and I believe with all my heart, that there's no replacement for human traits or human capabilities.
What's the strangest skill or freelancer that exists on the Fiverr platform?
God. It can be very cringe. When you want to build a brand, you don't build a brand through search results. You don't. I want to be a role model for the next generation of women leaders in Israel.
Your mother-in-law?
Yeah, my mother-in-law.
Why your mother-in-law?
Because my mother is already proud of me, no matter what I do.
Welcome back to another episode of Invested. I am thrilled to be here with Gali Arnon. Welcome, Gali.
Hi, I'm thrilled to be here.
It's great to have you.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you get into your own background. We're going to have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk a lot about AI also. Right. But Gali is most recently the Chief Business Officer of Fiverr.
That's true.
And will you give everybody else the rest of your background?
Yeah, so actually I've been in tech companies most of my career, B2C companies, SaaS companies, ad tech companies, so kind of moving between industries. Before that, I actually started as a teacher. I was a psychometric teacher and a GMAT teacher while I was learning my first degree as in psychology and communication. And then the company I worked for, Kidum, she got the right to open it was a franchisee, like it was called Wall Street Institute. It was a school of English for adults. And I was a center director at the age of 24 in Ra'anana. And everybody told me, Ra'anana is a place where everybody knows English already because it's full of, people who made Aliyah from like English-speaking countries, and you have nothing to teach them. But it became the number one center in Israel.
So a woman with an Israeli accent teaching English to English
I
native
never
English
taught
speakers
English.
in Ra'anana.
That's the thing. I was the center director. I was managing the center. I was selling to people English courses, never taught English myself.
But what did you teach beforehand when you taught the...
Psychometric is like math and English.
And English, yeah. Math and English.
Yeah, but like for the test, for the GMAT test, for the... yeah.
Basic English.
Yeah, I wouldn't say basic, but it wasn't the main idea. The main idea was how to pass the test with great results, with great grades. And then I became the CEO of this company when I was 27. And I opened 11 centers around Israel in different malls. That was like where it all started.
Okay, so I want to come back to this because I think this is an important topic for today. But before that, what we always start with here is, what are your core values?
I want to do something, I wouldn't call it a core value, but I would say that my work needs to be meaningful. I need to feel that I'm doing something that is good in the world, that I'm contributing to the world, that I need to feel connected from the bottom of my heart. I need to feel like it's fulfilling me with pride. When I'm telling my mother-in-law in the shishi dinner about what I do, I want to feel proud
of what I do. Your mother-in-law?
Yeah, my mother-in-law.
Why your mother-in-law?
Because my mother is already proud of me, no matter what I do.
Wait, how long have you been married?
And my daughters. I have 3 daughters, and I want them to feel, to be proud of their mom. So that's one. I think this connectivity to what I do, to the mission. I'm also a person of people. I'm very driven. And I'm a winner. I like to win, really. And I'm very competitive. But also, I see the people on the way. I want them to be part of my journey. And I think I'm doing a good job in inspiring them and make them follow me. Since I was very little, I was, always the leader in my group. So I was the leader of the class, and I was looking to, even if I wasn't, I was looking to be the leader. So I think it's in my nature. I don't want to be too arrogant or to sound too arrogant, but I think it's part of my nature.
What else do you compete in?
First of all, whatever I do, even when I play a game with my 13 years old, I will compete with her. And I would be extremely extremely angry if I won't win. And I could act really like childish if I don't win. And she always beats me in every game. So it's becoming very tough.
What games do you play?
So we can play Damka, or we can play...
Damka is checkers.
Checkers, yeah, checkers. And we can play Shabetsna, or we can play whatever game. I don't know the names in English. But,
Scrabble is Shabetsna.
Scrabble, right. Whatever we play, she usually wins, and I'm usually extremely upset, about it,
Really? Where does this competitive drive come from?
I don't know.
Are you the oldest?
Yes.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. One sister, one brother.
Were you competitive with them?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Are your parents competitive?
I think what they taught me is that you need to excel in everything you do. You don't compromise on anything.
My mother told me I should be mediocre. It's true, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way?
Before.
Tell me about it.
My mother used to say that the line between superb, excellent, and crazy was very thin.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
She prayed for mediocre children. And when I was a kid, it really bothered me. Later, I came to see the wisdom in it.
So, we were not sharing the same the perspective. I mean, to be honest, I could bring like a 97 in a test home, and she would ask me, "Oh, that's great, but what would the others get? I mean, the class get?" And
really,
yeah, it was. I mean, I needed to be excellent in everything all the time. I wanted to be excellent, and there was always another mountain to climb. That was the feeling, that there was always another mountain to climb.
That's fascinating. And then you started as an English teacher.
Not a teacher, I told you.
You started as a teacher of math and English, teaching psychometric.
Yeah, right. Because I
but
got
very quickly you had to be the CEO.
Yeah.
So how many people did you compete with along the way in those 3 or 4 short years to be the CEO?
I didn't look at it like, I'm competing with people on this role. I think I was getting to this center, to this Ra'anana center, and I wanted it to be number one. And I wanted it to show everyone that people will come to study English, even if Ra'anana is an English-speaking city in Israel. And then we became number one. And then, Israel was not enough. It was, let's win on a global level. Let's be number one in the world. And although there was always China, which, you couldn't compete with in terms of like population, right? You can't compare centers in Shanghai to Ra'anana, with all the respect. And you can't compare Chinese students studying English. They used to come to the center for 12 hours a day, while Israeli students used to come for an hour. So you can imagine how hardworking they are. Anyway, and that being this number one was always a motivation, I feel. Yeah.
And I want to go back to the core values. Erica, who runs our content here, and I were watching a video in which this guy stood up on stage and said, "Here's how corporate values work. You put up every company puts up the same 5 values. You throw all of them in a hat, and so you pick out 5. So you end up with the same thing. And they also like integrity and meaning and this stuff. What is a value of yours that you think is different from everybody else in the world?"
Wow, that's a tough question.
How about compete to win?
I think there are many people that are sharing this value, right? Okay. I think I'm competing to win. I never did it on the expense of other people. I'm not leaving, injuries. You see, injuries? You see, how do you say it?
You don't leave the wounded in the battlefield.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the expression. That's the phrase.
So everyone comes along with you.
Yes.
That's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll come back to that. But that brings me to, I think, this kind of complicated time we're in. Why don't you describe to everybody what Fiverr does?
Wow, Fiverr is amazing, and it is in a transformation.
How long have you been at Fiverr?
I've been to Fiverr for 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, I recently left Fiverr, and now I'm advisor to different startups. But I joined when the company was quite small, around 250 employees, before it was public. Still startup mentality. The marketplace, the Fiverr marketplace was identified, known for $5 cheap stuff you can buy on the internet. Risk of error was nothing. And it's grown up to this amazing company that is basically providing endless amount of services around, I think, 750 categories of services, digital services, from amazing freelancers all around the world. Like the talent on Fiverr is just absolutely amazing. And it allows businesses in all sizes to get access to this global talent, which is quite unique.
What's the strangest skill or freelancer that exists on the Fiverr platform?
Oh my God, don't take me there.
Come on.
It can be very cringe. Think about the internet, think about how cringe it is. And let's say our trust and safety team had a lot of work to do, you know?
Got it.
So, you know, but...
What's the strangest non-cringe thing that we can kind of still share on
drone video editing. So...
Okay.
That's
something everyone needs, drone video editing.
That's not very cringe. I mean, you can have people who will, I mean, when I started, I think it was leaning towards like really crazy stuff. Like, you know, people who will read in your coffee or will...
Read in your coffee.
Yeah, or will give you, you know, really crazy stuff. So love potions.
$5.
Yeah, for $5. Working, tried it. I really tried it. I said I need to try everything. I tried this as well. And I'm married for more than 20 years. So
right. We see it's working.
But, you know, but we also have data scientists on Fiverr. And,
right. Not for $5 though.
Far from it.
Far from $5, right.
Yeah. That was the journey, actually, you know, moving away from this $5 perception, offering more complex premium services from top talent.
So, I looked at Fiverr in the very, very, very early days.
Yeah, I know.
In very, very early days. And I did not invest, partially, by the way, because of the Fiverr that I thought was unscalable. So you proved me wrong, you and Micha and Shai and everybody else was along for the journey there. How did you take it out of this category of like $5 doodles and love potions and cringes to everything from data science? Take us through that brand.
Wow, I can talk about it for ages.
Do it for a podcast style audience.
Yeah, I will try. Stop me if I'm like getting overreacted. I would say first of all, it's in the name, right? So it's even harder.
Yeah, it's even worse, by the way, because like Fiverr,
right?
You have to kind of live with it.
Fiverr with two R's, and you know, you need to understand that, for example, in the UK, Fiverr is £5, so you can't get away from it. However, I can tell you that during the years, at the beginning, everybody knew Fiverr is $5. I remember I was at a conference, I think, I don't remember, maybe in New York, and then someone came to me and said, tell me, I'm really curious what Fiverr actually means. Is it a high five between a freelancer and a business or a buyer? And I said, you know, that's my little win. When someone, you know, was actually wondering what Fiverr is and he didn't recognize Fiverr for the $5 or pounds, that was my win. So I think first and foremost, we set a clear vision, and the vision was super ambitious. So even if we are a $5 marketplace today, we know where we want to go.
Which was to where? Which
was, first of all, we wanted to be the future of the way people are working, the future of work, right? So we want to be the ones who are defining the category of the future of work. And in the terms of the how, we wanted to be the Amazon of digital services. So on Amazon, you can find cheap stuff, but you can find everything on Amazon, right? And this is what we wanted to be. We wanted to actually take those digital freelancer services and package them like a service you can buy off the shelf, and you can trust it to be something that will work for you. You can trust the talent on Fiverr. You can trust the services and everything. So I think the first milestone was to set this clear vision. I think the second thing was to say, we are doing it, but we're building a household brand, and we're doing it from Israel. And this is interesting because the high tech or the tech scene in Israel is known and was known for many, many years for the R&D talent and for the tech talent and the data science talent and, you know, for the product. It wasn't known for marketing. I mean, there are great growth teams in Israel and great growth talent, mainly coming from gaming companies, but there wasn't really big household brands that were built out of Israel. And that was the challenge. And then, it's like climbing a mountain and doing it a step by step. I'll give you a few like sexy examples, okay?
Not cringe, sexy.
No, sexy in a positive branding, marketing, sexy way. So for example, we said, we want people to know that you can actually buy good stuff on Fiverr. So we hired Rob Janoff. Do you know who Rob Janoff is?
I don't.
All right. So he's the designer who designed the Apple logo. Do you know the Apple logo? I'm sure you do.
I do.
Yeah, right. So he worked with Steve Jobs to design the Apple logo. And then we said, let's bring him on the platform for a month to kind of offer a limited edition of his logos on Fiverr for $10,000, right? But he will do it for a month and we'll do a whole campaign around it. And people will actually say, well, we can buy a logo on Fiverr from the same guy who actually designed the Apple logo. Well, maybe it's not as, low quality as I thought. And then
That's actually an amazing idea.
Yeah, and then we did a whole design event in New York around it, and we invited designers. He was on stage. He told his story on how he worked with Steve Jobs and all of it. That was the first move. And then we decided, well, it's working, and let's do it in other categories. So we brought Wyclef Jean for the music category, and we bought Eli Roth, which was a horror show in the horror show film business in Hollywood, to do the video editing limited edition. And then we went on and on with different celebrities in different categories. And it worked really, really well. And then we did so many other things. And as I said, it was like climbing a mountain. But the vision was very clear. There was many different things we did in order to get there. And I think we actually did.
You know what I need to ask you now, right? Who is the celebrity for the love potion?
Martha Stewart.
That wouldn't have been my first guess, but
no, we actually worked with her a year ago.
You?
Yeah, not on the love potion part.
Okay.
No, yeah.
All right, there was no celebrity for that. So you have 750 categories on Fiverr.
Yeah.
What percentage of them you think are threatened by AI?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I can't give you the exact number. I would say that the simple tasks that are not involving human creativity or the need to work in integration with the AI and can just be completely replaced are the one that will disappear, gradually disappearing. By the way, Fiverr is a kind of, microcosmos of the whole world of employment, right?
Yes.
I read an article today about the whole research that was done about the pace of jobs that are disappearing. Women, by the way, are the first to be threatened by that.
Why are women the first to be threatened?
Because they're working in jobs that are highly or more likely to be threatened by AI.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I can find you the research about it, but it's not surprising that women are the first to be threatened. And I think there's also we did a research on Fiverr at the time, I think it was 2 years ago, when we were trying to understand how fast freelancers are adopting AI technologies. And we saw that women in general are slower in adopting new technologies, and AI specifically.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You're a teacher. Why can't we teach women to adopt AI faster?
I think it's not about teaching them to learn AI faster. I think it's about maybe attitude to technology in general, and I think it's about being an early adopter. I think there's something that still, and by the way, it's a symptom of something that is bigger than that, which is, I think in many ways, women are sometimes, they feel that they don't have the skills or the capabilities in order to learn a new domain, in order to jump on a new challenge. And I think it's part of our culture, it's part of our society, and trying to be in my own domain, in my own space, someone who's encouraging women to do that. But I would say that there's still, see how many women found you are in the investment space, right?
How many women founders?
Yeah.
Very few.
In percentage?
Less than 10.
I would say 3%.
Less
Why?
than 10. I've asked myself that question a bunch. As a father of 4 daughters, I've asked myself that question a bunch.
Why is that?
I'm in the camp that men and women are different. So there's obviously some biological factors that bias towards, and societal factors that have grown to bias to this. And so my guess is it's harder. And I think, there is societal expectations around roles that perhaps prevent this as well.
So I think this is part of the same. So the AI kind of adoption, it's part of the same symptom, which I'm trying to fight in ways that as a role model, as a manager, as an executive.
Okay, so you're setting up now, instead of setting up the Wall Street English language teaching to people who may speak English already in Ra'anana, now you're setting up the Institute for Teaching AI Skills to Women.
Yeah.
Tell me what you go do.
First of all, remove any barriers or perceived barriers.
What does that mean? How do you do that?
Just make it accessible.
How?
Just show the fundamental. Try. Let them try it. Let them experiment and let show them how beneficial it could be for them. Just remove all perceived barriers that usually exist.
What else? Why are they coming?
What? I mean,
why are they coming to a class on how to use AI or get ahead with AI? By the way, what percentage do you think of the creators on Fiverr are female versus male?
I would say it's more male dominant.
More male dominant.
Yeah, than women. Yeah.
And do you see there an adoption of AI that's different between genders, or you don't?
No, not really. No, the research I told you about was a general research that wasn't done specifically on freelancers on Fiverr. But I would assume that, like other technologies, women are slower to adopt them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you said we need to remove barriers and have people actually use the tools,
experiment
of
with
AI.
Them. Yeah.
What else?
For adoption, for women adoption specifically,
we'll start
for
there.
adoption in general, I would show the show not tell approach. I think it works in marketing and advertising amazingly well. I would just show people, or show specifically women, what can be done, and not tell them about it, not just teach them the principles, and actually show them. So it's not about only teaching them and experiencing. It's about showing the actual deliveries, the actual things you can achieve using AI. I feel this could be very powerful.
So you said before, you're very competitive.
Yes.
But you must look around, especially given your experience, both as a teacher and then running an institution of learning, and as an executive, but an executive that kind of looked at the future of work.
Right.
That there is a oncoming tension, let's call it, between AI and a lot of the people whose livelihood you helped create.
Absolutely.
Where does that lead you? Where does that lead your thinking? I mean, competition, AI will win against some of these people, and they might be left behind.
First of all, they might be left behind. I think we need to accept it and admit that the future of work is extremely different than what we know it is today.
Mm-hmm.
I really think, and I believe with all my heart, that there's no replacement for human traits or human capabilities that can't be replaced by AI. And I'm coming from marketing. I've been the CMO of Fiverr for, out of those 7 years, for 6 years. The creativity, even sometimes, our creative team were actually geniuses in the ideas they brought to the table. Some of them, by the way, on this tension between AI to work and to humans, will not be replaced. And I think there's something in look at art, okay, for example. I just came back from Firenze, in Italy. And I was at the Uffizi Gallery, where everything really, really started, right? With the Renaissance and all those amazing...
It's incredible.
Incredible. Can it be replaced by AI? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Will people using AI can create magnificent art? Yes, absolutely. So I think, one, there will be capabilities that will never be replaced. And I'm not even talking about like physical services, right? I mean, it's obvious, right? That when you come to a doctor, sometimes it's not enough just to get, the instructions from AI about when you're sick. Sometimes you actually need to see a person and talk to a person. So there are things that won't be replaced, and there are things that will just get much better with this integration between human and AI.
Right. So for argument's sake, if there's 100,000 freelancers on Fiverr, just use Fiverr as an example, but it's true in life. 50,000 will get better and faster and maybe more profitable using AI and leveraging AI, and 50,000 will be out of work.
Yes, and another 50,000 new ones will join the platform because they were able to create new capabilities because of the way they use AI.
Mm-hmm. And so that's actually an important point, which is there's a whole cadre of people, not just in Fiverr, but in our life, who will be able to create businesses that they wouldn't otherwise be able to create because they now have 5 digital workers on AI. How do we get people from here, which is, oh my God, AI is coming, to there, which is, oh, I can use AI to build a new business?
Again, I think, listen, I'm going back to this show, no tell, okay? Mm-hmm. I think we are constantly telling people about AI. Think about your LinkedIn feed. Think about your Twitter feed. How do you feel when you go through your LinkedIn? I'm really asking, and you see.
That's how I feel.
Dizzy, right? Dizzy. You feel like FOMO as well? No,
I don't have FOMO.
Okay, that you're unique in this sense. I guess most of the people do have FOMO.
Really?
Yes. Oh my God, there's a new technology. Oh my God, there's a new tool. Oh my God, there's a new thing. Wow, I'm missing it. Oh, I don't know how to master it. Oh, and it's evolving. And every day there's something new, right? And you feel dizzy, or you feel FOMO, or you feel that you're out of the discussion, right? And I guess most of us feel that way. I feel this is not necessarily helping. Seeing all those experts show, oh, I did this amazing thing. But no, I mean, people need to experience it themselves, and they need to try it and this is what I would do. I would actually let people try it.
So you're going to set up like an institute, like a place that people can come to and like hack together using AI.
Right, without any FOMO, without the fear of not being included in this party, right? Because it's a hell of a party.
What do you have FOMO of?
Seriously? Nothing really. Just when my daughters are in somewhere really important and I'm not there. That's the main FOMO.
That's the main FOMO, huh?
Yeah.
You want to go back to school?
No. no.
They are in school, right?
Yeah. One of them is already in the army.
Yeah.
Another one is starting like Shnat Shirut. She's like providing...
gap year of service.
Yes. And then she's going to go to be in a video, actually, photographer in the IDF spokesperson office. Spokesperson office. And when I mean I'm not there with them, it's mainly when they have something important and I'm not necessarily there. It's not about being in school. That's my FOMO.
I want to go to the other side from the freelancers, which is think about customers for a second. Okay, so customers, not just a Fiverr, but if I'm a customer today and I have a choice between a human and AI to do my work. Now, you said there are unique human skills.
Yes.
But I'm faced with that. And we just had, for example, Toby Lutke of Shopify, sorry.
Yeah.
Just said, before you come to me for resources.
Right. Try to do it with AI first.
Try to do it with AI.
Yes.
So if I'm a customer now and I'm thinking of going to Fiverr or going to Upwork or it doesn't matter, or going to the corner barber store. Actually, the barber I can't do with AI yet. But, and I say AI or human.
Right.
How do you think people are thinking about that right now? And how fast is it happening that they're making the AI decision?
I think it really depends on what they're looking for. If they're looking for something fast, cheap, and that might be generic, I mean, which, by the way, is taking us back to the $5 story. Because, the $5 solution was a low risk of error, right? It was cheap. It was very fast compared to the alternatives, which was go to a freelancer offline, try to negotiate, yada, yada, yada. It takes a lot of time. So it was fast, it was cheap, and it was probably generic or low quality, right? This is what you would get. Now, I'm not saying AI is low quality, don't get me wrong, but it's cheap, it's fast. I'm not sure how unique it's going to be.
So it's commoditizing things.
Yes.
So if I need a commodity, go to AI.
So if you need now a new logo to Aleph, it depends on your...
We're high-end, okay?
Okay,
I'm
fine.
just telling you.
Fine, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Some of the people who created the logo are sitting right here, okay?
Yeah,
Just be very careful now.
I know. So this is what I'm saying.
So your point is that AI creates commodity products.
So that's what... Yes, I think it's replacing the old $5 services on Fiverr. It is.
Do you have subscriptions to any of the AI services?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
To none of them?
No.
Why?
I don't really know. I'm using the free version of ChatGPT. It's working for me, and it's enough.
What do you use it for?
Everything.
What's everything?
I think it replaced Google for me for like 80% of what I'm looking for,
really
what I'm searching
Google
for.
80% less now?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're happy not to see the ads too, right?
I wouldn't say I'm happy not to see the ads. I would say it's just, it's faster, it's more organized. It's not about the ads, really. I mean, think about it, really, between us, okay? Yeah. The sponsor ads on the top of, I was paying a lot of money as a customer
I'm coming
Google,
to that in a second, yeah.
Yeah, over the years. So, yeah, it's very native in the way it's structured, right? Sponsored. It is very relevant, and it is taking conversion into the calculation of what you actually see or the result that are being displayed before the organic results. So it wasn't that bad. It's not like intrusive ads that comes, in the middle of a YouTube video that you want to watch. It's not the same. Google search it's quite a native experience. Yep. It's not intrusive in terms of the ads. But
you were a marketer for what I would call the golden years of Google, right? Where you could just like buy traffic on Google and buy it on Facebook. Now people are going to ChatGPT or Perplexity or Grok. And if people are taking 80% of their searches off of Google and doing them in ChatGPT,
I'm not sure the 80% is
let's just say it's headed there.
Precise,
How is a company like Fiverr or anybody else who is used to marketing through these digital channels going to capture customers?
So, first of all, every marketer in the world is now thinking about it,
right?
And
Top of the funnel,
working on it. At the end of the day, Google, the way they present the algorithm, the way it presents the results is about relevancy, authority, conversion. All those things will determine your appearance on the search results, right? And I'll tell you something. When you want to build a brand, you don't build a brand through search results. You don't.
Right.
Because it's only for the people who are already looking. So it's about getting the demand that is already there. You're not building a top-of-mind brand through Google search results. So that's one. The number of channels that are now accessible or relevant for a marketeer are far more diverse than just Google search. And Google search is only good for the people who are already looking. Now, if you think about it, all those models, those AI models, are using the same data that Google's used to in a different way, right? The calculation is different. But the Google used to use, right? It's relevancy, it's accuracy, conversion, probably not yet, maybe in the future. But you're probably going to hear about Fiverr even if you look on AI, on ChatGPT, or on any other model, because it's one of the biggest brands out there. So you'll hear about it.
I think you're making an important point, though, which is, tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth. In the era of AI, brand building is much, much more important perhaps than in the era of, call it, internet search.
Yeah.
Because in internet search, you could kind of buy your way to conversion even if you didn't have a big brand. But if you don't have a big brand and a big presence in the data that's being collected by ChatGPT,
if you're not a thought leader. By the way, I believed in this statement 10 years ago as well. When Google search was at its best. You don't build a brand on top of Google search. You don't.
But some people thought you didn't need to build a brand, right?
Although, and I'm using a lot of very definitive statements. Look at Booking. It's a different example. Let's talk about Booking for a second.
Booking.com, the travel booking site.
Right. So 12 years ago, 15 years ago, they started to build a brand dominating Google search results. And they did nothing in brand building. But because the way people are looking for hotels or for, anything that has to do with their vacations is on Google. It was dominating Google search was brand building, because if this is 90% of the way people are searching and you are always number one, and I think they were like moving between being the first number one advertiser in the world to the second number two, but anyway, they were like paying Google the most. That was brand building in its own way, right? So, but for other brands that are not only, that customers are not getting to your service through search alone, I feel it's not enough, and especially today.
A perfect segue, because like you mentioned before, you're the CMO of Fiverr for 6 years, and we're at a moment in time, it seems, where the role of the chief marketing officer is changing, right? Like I just said a second ago, brand building feels even more important than perhaps it ever was. There is a multiplication of channels through which you go. Linear TV is going down.
Right.
Non-linear video streaming, call it Netflix just as an example, is going up, but it's hard to access customers in those places. Help me think about how the role of the head of marketing, the chief marketing officer, is changing, and where you think this is in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. I was lucky enough or old enough to be a marketer even before the internet started. And, you know, what we had is what we used to call offline advertising and online advertising, or below the line and above the line. That was like the terms.
I'm old enough to remember that too, but I won't tell anyone.
No, that's surprising.
No.
Listen, I feel, you know, I went to the university my first degree was in psychology and communication. And there was a guy, you probably know him. His name was Marshall McLuhan. And he said, the medium is the message, right?
He and I are not the same age, or we're not the same age.
Okay, fine, you know, but...
I didn't know him because we were peers. Or
yeah, no, that's not what I thought. Yeah. You probably know him because he's a known guy, right? And
for one line.
For one line, yeah. It's like one song, you know, as a singer with one song, with one hit.
Yeah.
But that's a very known line, and it's very true. It's very true. Think about the way you consume TikTok today, right? So the message has evolved, but it's the message, right? You need to motivate people. You need to make them like your brand. You need to create emotions around your brand. It's the same mechanism, okay? People are the same. Their psychology is the same, although it's changing with technology and social networks. The medium is different. The channel is different, and it's dictating the way we are designing the message, the creative, and everything. I think, and I went through this, you know, a marketeer that needs to be really innovative with the creative, to a very data-driven marketeer, where he needs to understand the data and the pixels and all the technology behind it. And I think there will be some retro in this sense of a bit, because of this brand building, because you want to build authority, because you want to be a thought leader in your own category, in your own domain. I think there's going to be a bit of going back to the basics of truth in many ways, of creating emotions in a world where there's so many messages and you feel dizzy every time you open your LinkedIn. Brands will need to go back to basics. I think that's would be important for marketers and executive marketers. Together with, you know, mastering all the new channels, making sure you understand. Now, you know, it's been about celebrities, right? We talked about celebrities. And then it moved to the one who carries your message. Influencers were the thing. Now it's UGC. You don't even need to be an influencer anymore. You can be a really cute guy who knows how to stand in front of a camera, and it's enough. And then you need like thousands of UGCs like this in order to have a really strong machine in order to test all your creative. So I think that's obviously something you need to master. It will change. It will keep on evolving really, really fast. The back to basics is what's important in my eyes.
So I think that's a pretty profound point, which is even with the advance of technology and AI, and like you said, the dizzying environment of the information overload of the internet, a brand building will go back to basics.
Yeah.
You know, the just do it of Nike.
Yeah.
As a kid, I remembered, although I don't drink this stuff, you know, the Maxwell House smell of the coffee is pulling that emotional tug and creating a deep resonance.
Right.
Can AI be used to do that, given what you said about it creating commodity content?
I think AI can help do it. I'm not sure it's going to be the leader behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a human will be the leader behind it. You need to create content that will stand out. Think about it. Standing in this dizzy world of overload of information, you need to stand out. Can AI stand out? I don't know. I'm asking you. You're an expert.
I think in some ways it can. Yeah.
How do you make AI stand out?
But I agree with you. There's a lot of commodity dreck out there.
Yeah.
Created by AI. But I think if you work it hard enough and prompt it enough and poke it enough, you can actually create some pretty stunning stuff.
But that's the human behind it.
I agree that's human. I agree.
It's not enough. If you just use generic prompts and you don't work hard enough,
yeah, I agree.
You will get the same direct.
I just created a pretty in-depth document on a somewhat esoteric topic, used 3 different AIs, prompted it, pushed it back, challenged some of the sources, and I think we have a good 4-page piece of research. But it took a lot of work. It wasn't.
And you have a lott of brain power behind it,
well,
which
I don't know
is you.
About that. Well,
I mean,
I appreciate
hopefully,
it. That was very nice of you. Thank
that
you.
was a compliment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. What's the most iconic brand in your mind right now that kind of is retro, kind of pulls on people's emotions and does the right thing? Because like Nike's going down like this, right?
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
I mean, they left the stage empty. And
so what's the most iconic brand today?
Listen, Apple for me is still a very iconic brand.
Interesting.
I mean, I went now, I was in Rome now, went outside one of their shops. It still stands out. It's so different. It's so slick and it's so Apple. And it still resonates. It's still, I mean, it still drives emotion when you still feel it's the best out there that you can get. I'm looking at my daughters, the way they're thinking about Apple compared to other phones. I mean, it's working. And it's a storytelling and it's working.
Man, it's working.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I read this amazing, I kind of interviewed we were now in a vacation with, as I said, in Rome, in Italy, with my extended family, and I interviewed my niece. Niece, you say? No, my nephew, and they're all crazy about Duolingo.
About Duolingo,
yeah. And the way the way they build the brand is fascinating to me. Really.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then they killed the bird and brought him back. And
yes. They know how to speak the language of kids.
Yeah.
Kids resonate with them. And I said, I asked them, so do you study any language with Duolingo? Then they said, yes, of course, French. And I said, seriously, are you studying French with, yeah. And he said, yes, and how do you know about Duolingo? And he said, how did you hear about Duolingo? And he said, well, everybody knows about Duolingo. I mean, it's just there. Everybody knows about it.
My kids too.
Everybody knows. And I'm not talking about an 18 years old or 20. They're 10 or 12. And I think, for adults to be able to crack a brand for kids, it's not an easy task.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by the ability to do it through like TikTok alone, and that was the main channel they used.
You've written about or said, did an interview, I think it was something called The Creative Factor, that everybody is their own brand and the world is moving to personal brands. People like you and me who need to create their own personality in the digital space.
Yeah.
What's your personal brand?
That's the thing. I'm very bad at social networks.
You're never there, as best I can tell. You're like barely there.
I'm there, but I'm passive. So I won't share, like I'll go back from a vacation. I won't share pictures of my kids, my family. I won't share my personal experiences. I would usually share, achievements of my team on LinkedIn, but again, not frequently. And I think my personal brand was just, and although, I'll give you an example, okay? when there was there's this competition, which I like competitions, as I said, which is the Geek Time Awards, I think. And they have this, every year they give awards to the CMO of the year. And I got this prize twice, okay? In 2019 and then in 2021, I think. And I was very surprised because I never used to talk about what I do in social networks. And I never used to kind of talk about, it wasn't clear to me how they even give it to me. I mean, who, and apparently people know. And so I think my own personal brand is just because I work hard and...
But what is it? Like,
what is it?
What is the personal brand of Gali?
I think, listen, I and I'm so privileged and thankful for that. I think that the Fiverr recent journey was an amazing journey in the sense that we were able to bring together as a team, you know, with Micha, obviously, and the other senior management members and my team, we were able to build an iconic brand. And I think this is part of my heritage here.
But what's your personal brand? You talked about your personal. Everyone needs to build their personal brand now.
My personal brand. What's your personal brand?
I think I'm asking the questions here.
I took a political approach to this.
I think my personal brand includes talking about what are timeless biblical values in modern economics and empowering people to earn a better living and being a family man. Right at the top of my LinkedIn page, it says father, grandfather, husband, and then a venture capitalist, and that's not an accident.
That's very nice, inspiring.
That's what I am.
So my personal brand. I'm a mother, proud mother for 3 daughters. I want to be a role model for the next generation of women leaders in Israel, and I want to be someone who inspire women to break barriers and break the glass ceiling and dare and take risks. So that's something that is very important to my heart. I'm a Zionist, although I'm, very secular, you say,
yeah.
but I'm very connected to this place. Yeah, what I would say.
You were CMO of Fiverr for 6 years, and I want to go back to this at a time that is changing. That this whole world of branding is changing. You mentioned that you were recognized by Geek Time. What was it about what you did there that was different and stood out in the role is what I'm interested in. Because I think this is a time, I think you're right, by the way, that the retro is kind of coming back.
Yeah.
Brands and emotional brands and none of this kind of, what my partner Bill Gurley at Benchmark used to call the crack cocaine of search engine marketing. You actually have to do the hard work of standing out and being different and creating a long-term lovable brand. So, and Fiverr's created a brand unquestionably. What did you do that was different that worked?
I think first of all, we did do we created a very, very strong growth machine. And that's a fundamental, right? Mm-hmm. You have to have a very strong, data-driven, excellent growth machine with all the relevant channels. You need to be very diversified. You need to test thousands of creatives in order to find what's working. You need to be data-driven. You need to know how to measure. This we did. And I think many companies are doing it today, and are doing it quite well, specifically in Israel, but not only. But we were looking to be different all the time. In every campaign, in every creative that we used, we thought, how can we be more provocative? How can we create a message that people will not be indifferent to?
How did you get your team to do that?
Just challenge them and show them that it's fine to take risks.
When people took a risk and failed, how did you react?
I told them that we need to learn from that and to improve and do it next time, better next time. But I wouldn't, and that we're together in it, that I'm taking responsibility, that we're all part of this shit show.
Earlier in your career, you were an executive at a casino company.
Yes.
888.
Apropos talking about values and...
well, and being competitive, right? It's hard to bring the winners along in the casino game because the house always wins, right?
Yeah.
How did that line up?
Yeah, that's a good question. At the time when I joined 888, we're talking about 888, right? It was, I think, the only internet company in Israel. Gigi Levi-Weiss was the CEO. Probably know him.
Well, good friend.
Adi Sofer, which is a very good friend of mine and was my boss at Kidum, because she was the CEO of Kidum, and she kind of exposed me, taking me from being a teacher to being was the first to believe in me, I would say.
She's now the head of Facebook in Israel, or Meta in Israel now.
Right.
Yeah.
And she joined 888 as well, and she offered me to join this company that was, it was enough to go into their offices. Something was vibrant and cool and data-driven, and the level of talent that was there was just unbelievable. And I think, part of the story was that we are an entertainment company and it's games. And I have to tell you that, and it was all of it, right? It was a smart group of people, very talented, and it was data-driven, and it has a lot of resources, and it was different from anything I did before, and it was the head of the curve in terms of technology. But at the end of the day, we were selling casino. And there was a time where I felt that I can't do it anymore. And by the way, this is one of the reasons I left, because going back to those Friday dinners, shishi dinners, and to my daughters, I wanted to tell them with pride that this is what I do. And at some point, it didn't feel like that. But it was the best school for performance marketing ever. And everything I know about the digital world started there, really.
Yeah, so many people in the performance marketing space have come out of there.
That's true.
It's actually quite incredible. And by the way, so many leaders of the current generation of these consumer companies, from yourself to IDEA, have all come out of there, which I find to be fascinating. But maybe now I understand why it took your mother-in-law some time to come around. Could be, right?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. And your mother was still proud of you when you were there?
Yeah. My mom is always proud of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we like to finish with a few kind of lighter questions.
Yeah.
What's the strongest opinion you've held that you've changed over the last year?
Up until I think a year ago or 2 years ago, I could imagine myself relocating or living in another country. And I'm not saying only, for the short term, but actually living in another country. And I think what happened to me in the last 2 years is that, and they've been the most difficult years I've ever experienced in this country, even before that, 3 years, because it started with the protest. I was very involved with the protest, and I felt awful as part of, being part of this environment in Israel, and then the war and the 7th of October. I can't imagine myself living in another country.
Last question for you. Who's someone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. You keep going. You want to say something else?
Yeah, I want to ask you the same question.
What opinion of mine has changed?
Yes, in the last year.
Two things that are connected. And I wrote about this in my most recent book. I've often had questions about the general direction of the welfare state. But I believe the welfare state, the way we know it, not just in Israel, but in Europe and the United States, is finished.
Really?
Yeah. And number two, and this has changed for me probably over the last couple of years, not just because of Israel, is that countries need to maintain their core values, and that needs to be a critical component of whether people get the benefits of the state.
Can you explain?
Yeah, living as a citizen of a country has responsibilities and not just rights. I've written about this, by the way, for a decade, that core to being a citizen is responsibilities and not rights.
Yeah.
And I think the change that's happened in my own head is that responsibilities will confer the benefits of citizenship. And if you don't take responsibility, you can't get as many benefits of citizenship of a country.
I can see how it's very, very relevant to...
It's relevant, I think, globally right now.
Yeah.
And in many ways, countries defending their national cultures. And I think a long time ago that was called far right, and I don't think it's true anymore. And so I think countries that want to maintain their culture and their freedom need to defend themselves also. What's something you want to say about something nice you want to say about somebody in our space that doesn't get enough recognition?
I want to say something nice about two amazing ladies. One is called Naama Lahav, and the other one is called Yael Meiro. And they're both from Meta, but under the inspiration of Adi Sofer, they created an amazing program called Shishi 7 years ago, which I'm not sure you know about.
I don't.
And this is why I want to talk about it, because I think more people should know about. And it's an amazing program where they were able to gather amazing mentors from Israeli, women mentors. Women like Dana Weiss and Rakefet Rosak Aminoach and Tamar Yasur and now Yael Arad. So from different...
So just to tell people, so Dana Weiss is a media personality.
Right.
Rakefet Rosak Aminoach was the CEO of Bank Leumi and today a venture capitalist at Teammate. And Yael Arad was a judoka, I think.
Medalist, yeah.
Judoka Olympic medalist.
Yes, and she's now inspiring many other athletes, women athletes around Israel. And there's many, many more. I mean, there's a long list of unbelievable women that are, and I'm also, I was privileged enough to join this program 3 years ago as a mentor. And we are giving mentorship, training or advice to the next generation of women leaders in Israel. So every year there's thousands of women that are applying for the program. Every year you get a new woman that you meet with often. I mean, at least 12 times a year. And this creates amazing relationships and allies. And I think this is what women need. They need more women, other women as role models, as allies, to be stronger. So I really want to say how much I appreciate this effort.
Amazing.
Yes.
Gali, thanks for coming on Invested.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
If you enjoyed this episode with Gali, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcast and Spotify or wherever else you listen to us, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can continue getting this great content.